Let's learn how to change or connect a domain to your Shopify store. To do this, when you log into your store, if we go to the bottom right and click on settings, it opens up this settings menu. Now over on the left, if we scroll down, we can click on domains. From here, if you haven't bought or connected a domain, you'll be met with this screen. Now the quickest way to change your URL to something else is by going to buy new domain and then typing in what domain you want and then hitting enter and then just purchasing directly on the Shopify platform. This will hook up the domain directly to your store and you don't have to do anything else. However, what happens if you want to connect an existing domain that you bought from some other domain name service like GoDaddy? We can click on connect existing domain. From here, we put in the domain that we already own and then we hit next. Now it knows that this domain was bought through GoDaddy, so it says, hey, you can just connect it automatically by logging into GoDaddy and connecting your Shopify store that way. That's the easiest way to go through the setup if you bought your domain through GoDaddy. But the problem is maybe you didn't. Maybe you bought it from Namecheap or some other domain name service. So instead of going through the connect automatically, I'm going to connect manually so you can see exactly what you need to do in order to set up your domain for your Shopify store. So we click connect manually. Now again, it notices that I'm using GoDaddy, so it's just telling me, hey, log in. You can just do it automatically. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to do what's down here, which is change a few records on my DNS. Now there's this helpful link to go directly to my DNS, but if your domain is on a different website, you'll have to go to that domain and then edit the records yourself. So here I'm on my _software domain, and you can see that down here, this is the CNAME. This is essentially a subdomain saying pointing the www subdomain to this _software.com. What we need to do is we need to change two records. The first one being the A record. Right now, this is set to parked, and this is just something that GoDaddy does, and it automatically puts whatever the parked website is on your domain. This is connecting directly to an IP address. Now, every Shopify store will have the same IP address. You can see that in this first A record with the 23.227.38.65. If we hit the copy button, it will copy that IP address. So then inside of our DNS, we need to edit this record. So we'll click on this edit button, and now we can change the value to what we have on our paste bin. Once we're done with that, we can just hit save. Now GoDaddy automatically updated my DNS record. Now we have to update the CNAME as well. That's the second record here, the www subdomain. We need to point it to shops.myshopify.com instead of _software.com. So I'll copy this again, go back to my DNS, edit this www subdomain, and change it to what's in my paste. I'll then hit save, and it will update my DNS records again. We see we successfully updated. If we go back to my store, we can now hit verify, and it will go through a verification process. Now, the verification process can take up to 48 hours. So if you don't see the website directly on your domain, it might just be taking some time to actually do the verification process. You can see that _software.com is now in the verifying state. So once the verification is complete, I can go to my URL, which is _software.com, and you'll see this is my store. This is a shop that I have set up. Now, another thing that you can do if you don't want to purchase a domain at this time is that you can use a subdomain on myshopify.com. You can see I have this subdomain, the muicbu-fn. And what I want to do is I want to change that because that means pretty much nothing to me. Now you can only change this once. So once you change it, that's what it is. So instead of that nonsense subdomain that it gave me, I'm going to change it to hundefined store. This way I can remember it and it looks a little bit better. So now I'll click add domain down here. So now I have hundefined store.myshopify.com, and you'll notice that underneath it says redirects to _software.com. This is just because we added a primary domain to our shop. So it's just going to point everything to that primary domain. And that is how you change or connect a domain to your Shopify store.